Hello there, welcome back to the channel. This is another unscripted video. Last week we talked about D3.js and I told you why I'm learning D3.js, and also I told you why you should learn D3.js if you are a data scientist, and the link to that video is going to be in the description. So this weekend I have been working on a certain project about GDPR. GDPR is
2,000 years later.
General Data Protection Regulation rules, and there is a site where the fines for companies that violate these GDPR policies is, and the project that I worked on was to fetch data from that site, that is scraping the data from that site, loading that data into a database, building an API around that database, and then the icing on the cake and what I am learning currently, which is D3.js. I built a front end using React. Remember, I am not a software engineer, so down the road, if you look at the code and you see that there are some mistakes and you're a great software engineer, you can just you can correct me maybe in the comment, but be impartial, because I'm not a software engineer, I'm not a web developer, I'm just a data scientist. So the front end is built on React and D3.js. So let me show you on the PC what I am talking about. So here on the PC, I'm having the final product, and it is a simple dashboard that shows you GDPR enforcement for different countries and the reasons as to why this enforcement was done. Let me try to find the site where I got this data. Yeah, the site is in my GitHub, so I can just go to GitHub. Then go to my repositories. And then in this site here is where I fetched this data from. So it is called enforcementtracker.com, and it has this table on the companies that violated GDPR and the fines that they paid and when they paid and type of violation that they did. Right, so let me start by showing you the architecture and the plan that I had before building this project, and then after that I'm going to show you the project and what I have done so far and what I will not do that I may leave for you to do or improve on it. And so here I have the flow of data, or the architecture. I'm calling it an architecture for now. So here is the site where the data is, and this is the website that I've just shown you here. And from this site, what I wanted to do was to write a script using Selenium, and we shall use Python, or I used Python when we shall use, but by then I was planning to use Python, which is good that I used Python, and the scripting tool that I used was Selenium. And then I wanted to use Airflow to kind of wrap around Selenium and schedule the scraping, because this site here updates every time they find out about someone who has violated, or a company that has violated GDPR regulation. So I wanted to wrap Selenium around Airflow to schedule the tasks to be running periodically. But I didn't do that, and with the plan was that since we're using Airflow and Selenium, we cannot run Selenium inside the Airflow Selenium server. So there was a plan to run Selenium server outside of Airflow. So here is Airflow here, environment, and then we'd have Selenium server environment outside. And then we would have in the script of Selenium, instead of running Selenium server inside Airflow, we would just send the request to Selenium server, and the Selenium server would help scrape the tracker and then return the response to Selenium within Airflow, and then the data now would go into the database. So the plan for the database was to have it as Postgres. I know most of the software engineers like MongoDB because of the objects. Data scientists and people working with data analysts or data staff, data engineers, we like working with the flat table where we have rows and columns, and Postgres and MySQL is more favorable for us. I chose Postgres because it has so many features, though I'm not going to use those features, and I never used those features in this project. Then after data flows from enforcement tracker into my local database, the plan was to create an API around the database to be able to serve that data. And since I am comfortable in Python, the choice were only 2 or 3, I think. Yeah, 3. The first choice was to use FastAPI because it is fast API and it is easy to use, and it's also fast to learn. The second one was to use Django REST framework, and then the third one was to use Flask. So I decided to go with FastAPI. I know veterans of the channel understand that I like FastAPI. So after building the API, the front end was to be on React and styled using Tailwind CSS, which I did, and I never completed styling. So if you expect the site to be responsive, first of all, I don't know how to make the site responsive, and I'm learning. Also, I'm not a software engineer and I'm not a web developer. I'm a data scientist and analyst, but I'm learning so that I can use those tools to build analytic systems like these ones easily, and can be also a good product for my clients. So I have the analytics dashboard here, and the major tool the tool of focus here would be D3JS, because it is what I'm learning currently, and that is where my attention would be, so that I can be able to use the things that I've been learning. Plus, I am reading a book about D3JS, and the new version. Let me first check the name of this book. The book is called D3JS in Action. I'm reading the second edition. I can't read the most recent edition because I tried to buy it, but the shipping is going to take 6 months to arrive here in East Africa. So I don't know if in the next 6 months I will still be hyped to learn D3JS and refresh myself on data visualization like the way I am now. So I found this book on the internet. It's a second edition. I'm reading it, and I would suggest that you read it. It's not a paid sponsorship, but it's a good book. It has brought me so far here. So this was the plan of all the architecture for GDPR. So we can start looking at one by one component and how I enforced it. So the first one is enforcement tracker, and we have seen where it is. It is someone's site. I'm not going to host this, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't do the Airflow bit, because that would mean that I'll be making this site slow by calling it every time I want the data. Plus, it's not important. I'm just doing this as a pet project and a fun project. So to all the owners of enforcement tracker, this is just for learning. I'm not going to host, but I'm going to leave the code. I'm going to leave the code public, so if it's just for people to learn also, so they can look at the code and see how I script use it. But it is easy also to script because it is a table. Right, so we needed to scrape this. I built the scraper here. I'm going to close most of this and show you from a clean slate. Plus, I need to make this bigger. As I'm making this bigger, you can hit a sub button. Right, so we start with where is it? Obsidian is here, right? So enforcement tracker, we've seen where the enforcement tracker is. Now the next thing is looking at the script for Selenium. So I have here 3 folders. One folder is for the API, which is the API that we built here on FastAPI. The second folder is the dashboard, which is the front end, D3JS. The third folder is ETL, which is the Selenium bit. I don't have a folder for the database, but the database is on a local host. I'll show you the data when we reach there. So let's start with the ETL, because that is the extract data from here, transform and load in the database. And in the ETL, I have two scripts. So I have this script here, which I call it crawler. And what it does, it just crawls. It goes into the site, it goes into enforcement tracker, and it crawls. It goes inside there and fetches the data that, or the elements, the HTML elements that I'm looking for. So so I have like the class to make a driver that helps me to create the driver. If you don't know about Selenium, I have some videos about Selenium. You can check the channel if you want to learn more. So here I have my class for crawler, and what this class does, it helps with when you define the website. It helps you to create a driver for the website. I have a class for making a driver here, and then after creating the driver, we use the waiting function to wait for some elements to load. Like this element here, there's a button for a page button for this next page button. So waiting for it to load, and it should be loading. Then from there, we have a way of now fetching data from the site. So I'm not going to go through all this, it's just going to be so boring. And then we have a function for scraping, because now after fetching the data, we now need to move into it and pick the data that we are looking for and format it into a pandas data frame. Then after that, some bit of cleaning, which we used here within the script. Then when we are done, we load that data as a CSV. So we have here script, and then we save the data as CSV. So that's why you're seeing here some CSV. So what this class has done is it goes into this site, fetches the whole page, wait for some elements to load. After they have loaded, look for the table and look for the columns and the cells and pick that data, transform it into a pandas data frame, and load a CSV onto the disk. Then after that, I have the cleaner.py, which is a script that helps with cleaning the data that was loaded. So we will read from the disk the data that is loaded, and then after reading from the disk, we clean the data into the way we want. So the cleaner is here, read from the disk, do some bit of cleaning. You see here I'm cleaning the columns, and then after that we save the data into the database, the database that we are talking about here. So we have seen crawler crawls, fetches the data, creates the data frame, which is here, save it on the disk as a CSV. Then after saving it in the disk, we have the cleaner that reads from that disk and does some bit of cleaning, more data wrangling, and then saves the output in in the database, the Postgres database. So you can see that the database is here. I have the user gdpr and the password gdpr, and the database is gdpr. So I'm free to share username and password on the internet. There's no problem. So this would be nice if we had it on Airflow and schedule where this task runs first, then this one follows, but I didn't do that because I'm not going to host this project live. So when this data is loaded onto the database here, I'm going to show you the database is here. So you can see the result of our web scraping. I don't know if it's here for you. I'm just going to make it bigger. So you can see now we have a column. There's an ID, country, date of decision, find the controller of the processor, controller of the data, and some other extra columns that would be useful or would not be useful. So you can see that now we have fetched data from here, this side, scraped it, did some cleaning, and then loaded it into the database. So the next thing was to be able to serve this data through an API, and that's why I built this API here using FastAPI. And with this API, we can look at the models. This is not a machine learning model, these are just database model. And we have only one model, and that is to create this table here called clean gdpr. If you've looked at this table here, you can see that it's called clean gdpr and it is in the public schema. So this here, clean gdpr, and then we have the schema that define the way the data will be accessed through the API and the way the data will be loaded or posted into the API. So we have here the schema. So when the schema for reading and for writing data is the same, no difference, where we have the ID is a string, the country is a string, the date of decision is a date, from date time, the controller of the data is a string, and the rest are string. Then the database.py is just to define the access to the database. And then we have what else? We have model, schema, database. Then CRUD, this is create, read, update, and delete functions. I only created 2 functions for reading data. I didn't create functions for writing data, because what the purpose of this project was to be able to serve this data and not to write onto this database. So I have this for getting all finds, and this one here for getting only one find. Then the last thing is the main.py. So this is like the entry to the API and the definition of the hosts and how to get the data. So we can look at the docs for the API. I'm just going to raise here, and I think this is it. It's running on which port? I don't remember which port it is running on, but I can kill it and run it again. So Control C. Yep, so it is running on port 8000. It's a FastAPI, and I can show you here. /docs. So you can see here GDPR. This is the endpoint that I created. It's just one endpoint, and we can try it out. So I can click try it out. I'm not going to skip. I only want to see 5 records, and then when I execute, I'm going to find the result here. So this is what the API is returning. So after that, I need to create now a front end so that at least I can try out my skill from what I've been reading about D3. So I created a project on using React, and I have like my index.js is here, so you can see that I'm importing React, I'm working with React. Also, I used create React app, so I didn't write the whole of this. You know, when you do npm create React app and then call it dashboard, like they're called dashboard here, it auto creates everything. So I just needed to change a bit. I didn't change anything here, but in app.js I wrote these functions. Please, you may see errors, or you may see me doing things that are not of the best practice as a software engineer. I am not a software engineer again. I don't know how many times in this video I'll say that I'm not a software engineer, but you can leave the count in the comments. But just showcasing what I did. So I'm going to raise this. Yeah, this is majorly what I did. So the app here, mostly I wanted the maximum fine. You see in the demo here, we have, it's interactive, and also there were some outliers, so I needed to work with the maximum fine here. The rest was just some bit of data cleaning for the title, case for the country. I used the use effect so that some part of the code can run only once, or when some bit of data changes. Right, so that's the home. Then I have now my pages, my home page, and this is where now the charts are. So you see like this visual here, time series, this one. So this visual for time series and this one, I created them once as a component. So I have like component here, and I have the time series here. This one is written once, but it is called twice. You can see here there is time series that I called and time series that I called inside home, but I created it once, and it helped me to visualize both this GDPR fines per day and cumulative fines over time. Then we have, this is, I call them circle charts, but you can call them anything you want. But this one just shows the sum of fines per country. Like Italy has lots of fines, and then the other ones are small. So that was a circle chart that I created here. I'm kind of perusing here because the code is online. You can go and take time and maybe read about it. But if you want me to do full tutorials onto this project, then you can tell me in the comments, or we can have a target of, I don't know how many. I don't want to do tutorials, but if I know on average we have 10 viewers of this channel, so if we can have an impossibility of 100 likes, then I can do a tutorial 100 likes before the end of the year, because I know when the video takes long, the likes continue. So before the end of the year, if I can have 100 likes, then I can do tutorials for this. But if not, we'll see. Anywho, so this is the circle chart. It's just calling circles anyway. You have select an element that don't exist, and then append one that exists. Then after that, we have for each of the node that we have selected, we append circles and then give it a radius, give it a position. The position is mostly on the group element here, this group element. That's why this one says 0, fill it and give it a stroke. And this one here is for the text. See, now like for the country here, we have this text here, the name of the country. Yeah, the next thing on the same node. And that was the circle chart. Then I have a bar chart. Remember, the third one here is the horizontal bar chart, which is created from here. This component here is a simple component. Again, I can do this when I have 100 likes, or when I feel like I have time to do it. So this is how my project is structured. It was a fun project, and it was fun to work with D3 in conjunction with React and writing some JavaScript, because every day I write Python, and my work is majorly dependent on Python and SQL, so writing JavaScript is kind of fun. What's remaining? Also, I use Tailwind. Oh, I was about to forget that. So if you go home here, you can see, yeah, I used Tailwind. I'm not an expert of Tailwind, so most of these things I Googled and fixed them, and you can see now the colors and the styling of this is looking a bit nice. It's like a child's drawing, but it's a bit styled. It's not so bad, but it's not responsive because I don't know how to make it responsive. You can clone this repo and make the site responsive if you're software engineer or if you're just interested. And yeah, that is my project for, I think I worked on it for 2 days. Yeah, until next time, bye bye.